Kanpai!
Kanpai!
Welcome, weebs, to this very warm week in weebdom. It is hot. We're currently having a mini heat wave, and all it takes to melt me is a little bit of sun. So, you know.
I am going to guess that you do not have an ice maker in your refrigerator.
I have an ice shelf.
Sorry, in your freezer.
Which I put
trays.
Ice cube trays.
Yeah.
And I pull the ice out.
I remember having to live those days. That's oof.
It's going 27 degrees C in my flat right now, so it is roasty toasty, and I have a fan behind me. So if people can hear the fan, I do apologize. I ain't turning it off. Right?
Look, they could probably hear my air conditioner most times. So I think it's fine.
This week we have the episode title "The Writer's Barely Disguised Experience," where I believe we're talking about. What was it like?
It's where
you write about what you know.
Writers either have way too much experience in a topic and have written something about it in their anime or manga, or where they don't know anything about it and it quite obviously shows.
Okay, all right. So I want. But first of all, before we start all that, we're going to go straight into housekeeping. So, like, comment, subscribe. We have the audio podcast version, which at some point in time we'll probably look to pimp somehow. I don't know, I'm bloody clue. We have to get Thaylien set back up on the system.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, I died.
Thalien's... Oblivion, oddly enough, we were just talking about remasters. Oblivion destroyed Thalien's PC.
Obliterated his computer.
So, yeah, obliviated, yeah. Don't forget we have a Discord. Let us know your thoughts and feels about some of the hottest things. Like, I don't know if we have... are we talking at all about the tariff impacts on...
that's in... If you watched Kanpai News on Monday, that's something we discussed there.
Tuesday.
Well, Kanpai News on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I don't think that's been brought up in the Discord, but I think they have talked about some show or another that's
My
getting a
Anime
new
List.
season.
Oh, okay. I know that they spoke about My Anime List.
Oh, yes, also My
getting,
Anime List getting, yeah.
Yep. So, we talk about shenanigans in there.
Oh, it was Campfire Cooking.
A lot of times
they were excited for a new season.
Yes.
Right.
But this is also the kind of Discord where Nasuth will get sent jokes like, dangerous types of canoes being called canoes.
We also have Patreon, so both Nasuth and I have a Patreon, and that is used for the production of the show, and basically paying for Nasuth's time, because I'm a glorified. I wouldn't say I'm a workaholic, but am I a hobbyaholic? Do I put too much time in my hobbies? I don't know.
Slight manic obsessive.
Yep, and also Nasuth and I stream from time to time. Cool. Right. We're probably streaming right now. Okay, so without further ado, shall we
Topic time.
Yeah, let's go to the topic. So, this is one that I thought to go into, and I thought we'd start with something that's comes up in nearly every show because it's just one of those ones you can't escape from. It's Evangelion, and the simple fact that they threw in Christian iconography into everything and had no idea what the topic was. So when you go into Evangelion, it seems very deep. They get these aspects of the ancient Christian belief, like Adam and Lilith, which comes from before the modern Bible, whereas Adam and Eve, because
Lilith was supposed to be the first wife, and
we just fucking lost Thaylien.
Has my internet died?
We just lost.
Oh,
this
fuck
fucking
me.
Discord just shat its pants.
It's back.
Oh dear.
Woo.
It suddenly snaps back. Discord's wonderful. So
yeah, I was going to interrupt you and say
basically,
Lilith was like the first wife, and she didn't want to be subservient to Adam, so God exiled her and made a new one.
Yes, exactly.
From a rib of Lilith, was it?
No, it's from the rib of Adam.
That was it.
I think Lilith was created independently, and then Eve was made from the rib so that she would be part of Adam, and thus,
Yes, and so
very weird
stuff. I mean, heck, even the Chronicles of Narnia use that topic eventually. In that, with the White Witch. The White Witch was
somebody else first. Yeah.
No, the person that became the White Witch was originally supposed to be Lilith.
Okay.
Oh, was she?
Let's not go down the that rabbit hole, because I can see it's awfully tempting.
Yeah. So that whole part of the story that's included into Evangelion as these great big iconographies.
But they also use the Tree of Life symbolism a lot.
Yes, they do.
Even in the Rebuild movies, you got like the Golgotha object, which is like, what? Do they not know what Golgotha is?
No.
But on the other hand,
as most Final Fantasy fans know what Gongaga is.
But on the other hand, they also use a lot of philosophical topics, which they do seem to know about. The Absolute Terror Field is I can't remember which philosopher it is, but it's the absolute terror of the other. You can never actually know another person completely because they are a separate mind from yours. You never know what their true intentions are. You only know what they reveal to you. That sort of thing. That's also why the why the LCL is like such a important topic, because the only time that you don't have the Absolute Terror Field is when you are literally in the womb, because you are a part of somebody else.
It's
exactly.
So this is an odd one, because like I feel that the thought process behind the refinement of Evangelion has only gotten there due to
the rebuilds.
Hideki Anno. Well, no. Hideki Anno having so much time refining the narrative. Because when did this come out? Oh, 97. Oh, no, that's the end of Evangelion. So what, like 95 for the original series or something like that?
I think, 95 or 96.
He was working on it for decades, right? Literal decades. And I think at that point in time, whatever you come up with is going to be refined well enough that it's not going to be pure garbage. Because I do feel
the cushion iconography in the Rebuild movies is still garbage.
Like he put the time and effort into, refining
really
how on earth. Like refining how most of the structure of the show or the movies work. Whereas I gotta say, with just the series itself, the fact that the original ending is nonsensical gibberish because they literally ran out of money, and then as long as you just watch the series minus the last 2 episodes and then watch End of Evangelion, it all makes fucking sense. Yeah. Right?
Yep.
Like, so I feel
it's clear that he had ideas, but he just couldn't implement them properly.
Yeah. But there are some shows that just don't have ideas at all, right? And
look, we found Jinu's grandfather.
Oh my god. Right, well, ignoring Thalien's grandmaster joke,
sorry,
especially for the audio version, and it's peaked Nasuth's microphone so badly. So yeah, no, I feel that there we got plenty of shows out there like Cheat Skill in Another World that is just, nonsensical gibberish. Like, actually, one show that I think is a brilliant segue to highlight the flaws with the show itself. And this is coming from a place that the author really knew well. This is Overlord, right? So for everyone's benefit, the author of Overlord, the author of the light novels of Overlord, has come out to say that basically he was a huge D&D nerd, and he would run all these he would GM all these campaigns and everything, or DM all these campaigns, apologies, and effectively he ultimately came to writing Overlord because his players didn't turn up to his campaign, right? And it kind of tracks with Overlord because, Ainz is such a non-entity. He is the main character, and he is as deep as a puddle in terms of any form of development, in terms of any form of motivation.
He has anti-development, doesn't he?
Yeah, he just gets worse.
He self-suppresses so hard as part of his lich powers that he actually stops feeling so much emotion over time. It's weird.
It also feels like all the characters are the same person when you get down to it. They're it's like somebody playing chess against themselves, that sort of thing, where
yes.
how can you play against yourself when you know what your next move is going to be, etc., etc. Yeah, it's that sort of thing, that sort of mentality, where all the characters clearly have the motivation of the author behind them.
But the whole, that's a brilliant way of putting it, because the whole of the show's design is
Ainz doesn't know what he's doing. Design. One of them suggests something, and he goes yeah, exactly.
No, not that. Not that. I'm talking about the fact that the world is so well developed. The countries, the races, the societal structures and everything. And then you have Ainz just bumbling through it.
I don't think he's bumbling through it. This is the fun thing. If you track this as he's the game master, the dungeon master, his character in this would be an observer of what the world is doing. So if he's always the guy writing the campaign, then of course he's not used to playing in the campaign and finding out the mysteries. He's used to knowing all the mysteries already and revealing them to the players.
But
his character would only be observing. He wouldn't actually be doing anything.
But the whole point
but sometimes the DM does have to step in and do things. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
But the whole point of Overlord is that it's a player character that ends up getting transported into their favorite MMORPG that's getting shut down, right?
Oh yeah, no, I get that.
So there's a huge disconnect between the motivation of a games master trying to navigate the world that they've created versus an actual player doing it, because a player would have so much awe and wonder and oh, what's this? Oh, what's that? And it just doesn't carry through.
And
I think
worse,
I have a better.
You can explain it, because if he's the developer, so if he's been playing the game all his life, he's a player character in this game, and he's transported into the game world. Of course, he'll think he knows it all, and so it will all be familiar, and so it kind of plays into that almost. Okay, it plays into that, making the excuse for him not doing anything and not exploring. It's almost like the game as a writer, he just found, okay, so this is a character that does know everything in theory, and is only looking for the differences of why it's different from what he knows. So he's almost created the ideal character to do nothing.
I think I actually have a better example of a character who fills that sort of DM role, because as I was when I was interrupting Zeno a second ago, I was saying that sometimes the DM does have to get involved and nudge things a little bit, not necessarily because they're railroading, but because the player characters are getting into trouble and they need a helping hand to get out of it. And it made me think of... Now, admittedly, I haven't read the manga, so also my camera has stopped tracking my avatar. But anyway, I feel like in Berserk, that's not the right Berserk.
I'll deal with it. Keep going.
I feel like the Skull Knight kind of fills that role because he doesn't get involved very often. It's mostly Guts who has to do the stuff. But every now and then he turns up and he nudges the story a little bit, or he not necessarily nudges the story, but interacts with the world in a way that he wouldn't normally. Sometimes because Guts gets into trouble and he needs to be saved. That sort of thing. I feel like that's a better example of a DM who interacts with their world. And again, Miura doesn't define this world as well as the Overlord world, but it does still kind of feel like a D&D world. You know what I mean?
So, I know where you're coming from. Unfortunately, a large part of the problem is that Miura did actually define a lot more of the world in the manga. We just didn't get to see it.
Right.
And Skull Knight isn't there solely for like plot convenience and things like this. Like, I don't know how much he appears in the 2016 or 2017 continuations of the story.
I don't remember either. I know he appears a few times though.
But effectively, Skull Knight's first major appearance is not
saving Guts'
with
ass,
Guts.
isn't it? Oh.
Huh?
I thought it was saving Guts' ass from something.
Nope, that's the second major appearance. The first major appearance is actually saving Richter, right? So, this is technically spoilers for the manga. So I don't know if we want to hit tags, but like,
sure.
I mostly want people to go read the manga because the manga's like, but the manga has a lot of if you're not into dark fantasy or grim dark, if you're not okay with the concept of Slanesh from Warhammer 40k, do not read the Berserk manga, but it is so different compared to everything else. But effectively, what happens is during the night of the prophecy, right? There's effectively two events happening, or the day of the prophecy. Sorry, one is where you have the Band of the Hawk that has sort of like a refugee kind of camp. No.
Okay.
So the Band of the Hawk is split in two, right? So there's the group that's currently trying to heal from being chased all around Midland, right? They are recovering. And Richter is with them, right? And he is trying to help out while they're recovering and things. And there's the other group that's gone to try and save Griffith, right? And
Right.
The series only focuses on that group, not Richter and the others, right? As a result, during the prophecy, demons are appearing in other parts of the land, primarily around the site, right? And one demon turns up and starts going to town on the hospitalized, and that's when Skull Knight first appears and kills the demon, right? And Richter's the only survivor. Richter ends up being taken to a caravan, like a merchant caravan, and he's being looked after there, and that's where Puck first comes around, right? That's where you first introduced to Puck as well. So yeah,
I think that still kind of fits the idea of Skull Knight being the DM character, though, because you might have the DM character involved in the inciting event. That's in that way. This character needs to survive, and they need to be shown the threat they're up against, a threat that they will never be able to handle at the level they're at.
I would argue Nosferatu Zod is actually more that character, because there's instances where, during the series, Guts is fighting another character, and his sword is shattered or something like that, and Zod throws him a sword. Right. Again, there's a bit that's entirely chopped out. So when Griffith escapes, the King of Midland actually sends a demon in disguise that's very much like Nosferatu. They're called like the Black Hounds or something like that. Much like you got the Band of the Hawk, you got the band the Black Hounds. I really can't remember. Yeah, and they operate in other countries. They do not operate in Midland because they are so nasty, right? And effectively, the King of Midland summons them back to go chase after Griffith, right? And it turns out, the troops of the Black Hound, they will kill themselves, right, freely, because they are more scared of disobeying their leader than death, right? So they will just run into traps and things like that. If that's what their leader commands, that's what they will do. Turns out their leader is also a demon, much like Nosferatu Zod. Yeah? But this demon does not believe that Griffith is actually the prophesized one, because he does not have the Baelet.
But
right?
Does Zod keep showing up throughout the story? Doesn't he get killed?
Yes, Zod comes back. Right?
Oh, okay.
Zod comes back. Right? So after
so he essentially when they call him in Nosferatu Zod, it's because he's essentially immortal. He will keep coming back.
Kind of, yeah. So the leader of the Black Hounds is revealed that they are a demon, right? He is going to town on the group that's rescued Griffith. Basically, it's down to Guts. They think they've actually killed it, but it actually gets back up and is about to wipe the rest of them. And then Zod, plot MacGuffin, turns up and just wastes it. It's just like, plot convenience.
Is it fair to say that Guts and Zod are both sort of a Deus Ex Machina character?
No, I think maybe Skull Knight and Zod, but
sorry, that's what I meant. What did I say?
Sorry, you said Guts.
Sorry, I meant Skull Knight and Zod.
I think 100% Zod is right, but I feel that Skull Knight has so much more backstory to him, because again, I've only read 26 volumes of what's currently out.
Just because he has backstory doesn't mean he's not a Deus Ex Machina.
Exactly.
But I think by having backstory, he can't be a Deus Ex Machina, because he has motivation, right? He's not just turning up for plot contrivance. Well, he has motivation.
Deus Ex Machinas can have motivation.
Yes.
Okay, so
it's just a matter of spoilers. Deus Ex Machina is basically on how convenient and contrived the appearance feels, no matter whether he's got motivation to do so or not.
But okay, can you give me another example of a Deus Ex Machina character that has drive and motivation? Right.
That is hard off the top of my head.
It is.
I'm sure it exists, but it's hard off the top of my head.
Tuxedo Mask.
Yeah, kinda.
I mean,
the fact he doesn't do anything the first time isn't.
Sakuna from Jujutsu Kaisen.
Sukuna.
Yeah,
Sukuna. Yes. He has motivation. He has backstory. But when he turns up, it's to save the main character. and he is essentially just the god that shows up to save our main character.
Bless you.
I don't know about that.
Still,
Okay.
that is the way that we would describe him. Is that he's definitely got motivation. He's got the thing, but he is still used in the story as a Deus Ex Machina. But I do like the fact that insurance companies really like Zod. They don't have to pay out if they can prove it was an active Zod.
Anyway, knew it was going to be a terrible pun. We kind of touched upon it ever so slightly with Sword Art Online. And one of the things that I really...
Sorry, for the audience, we were talking about that before the show started.
Yes.
Oh, did we? Sorry. Yes. Okay.
But this is a good way to go into it for the next thing, a comparison of people that know what they're writing about versus people that don't. So sort out online,
So one of the biggest problems that I have with the likes of Sword Art Online or what's called Shangri-La Frontier or Infinite Dendrogram or basically all of these full dive MMOs or any bloody MMO, right? What was the one you watched last season or the season before where they were like fixing bugs in there?
Oh,
quality assurance.
Yes.
In another world. Yeah.
That's another good terrible one. That? I never watched.
I finished the existing episode, yes.
Right, okay. But the big thing that I really struggle with shows like this is that every character is so bloody unique, right? There are no two characters the same, which, you know, there won't be two characters that are direct clones of each other, but there's going to be, like, more than one paladin, or more than one rogue, or more than one hunter, or what have you, right?
Mm-hmm.
They might be different races, different creed, but they will play the same, right?
Yeah.
And this it really fucking bugs me
To be fair, on this point, Sword Art Online genuinely had this thing of every basic character started off with the same generic looking gear. It was all the same tunic and trousers and things, apart from the girls who then were wearing skirts. The same leather basic armor and the same looking swords and things.
But
it was only as you go through the game, they did have these unique things, like the coat that Kirito wears, making him the black swordsman.
No,
was supposed to be a unique drop.
My grievance here is the fact that Kirito is the only character in the entire fucking game that can dual wield. Right?
And that was a genuine plot thing.
But no one would build a fucking game like this.
Dumb plot thing.
No, it was a dumb plot thing, but it was the guy that created it. He wanted to create a hero and gave one character the ability to dual wield to fight him.
Right.
That was the reason Kirito was any relevance whatsoever. Because they made him the dual wielder. That's it.
But it is awful, right? It is like no one in their right. I love in Shangri-La Frontier, like one of my favorite parts of the show is the fact that it cuts away to the development company as they have their chief storyteller and their chief gameplay designer constantly fighting because one person wants them to actually progress the story and one person wants them to focus on gameplay first. And I loved that, right? You know, you have them that basically,
real.
Yeah. Huh?
That does feel very real.
Yeah, but not only that, it's a case of, like, they have to modify the conditions. Like, so the only reason why they were able to defeat a specific boss is because the one that was in charge of story actually made the boss easier. And it shouldn't have been... It shouldn't have been... I don't know which one it is.
Sorry, spoilers. Yeah.
It's not really spoilers. That's like right at the start. But, like, I don't know if it is the wolf. I think it's a later one.
Okay.
But yeah, so but it's really interesting to have it from those points of view, because you see the motivation. Like, you know, most of the time when playing games like World of Warcraft or whatever, at level you can't solo one of the end game bosses, right? But they kind of show how this is actually doable for our
if
group.
They change things on the back end.
Well, not just if they change things on the back end, but if they design it specifically so the more players you have, the worse the fight is.
Right. Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah, but when it's just a case of, some random player will be the dual swordsman. Fuck off.
Yeah, but it was designed to be stupid like that.
Sorry, Nasuth, you got really quiet when Thaylien was talking.
I said, but they picked Kirito because he was a beta player. Oh, right. That was saying he doesn't want to hear that shit.
No, genuinely, no. It's stupid. It is stupid, but it was the creator of the thing being stupid, and it was purely a human stupidity thing. It wasn't written as, oh yes, this is the exact way the game is designed. It was a plot convenience for a way to fight the guy that created the entire game. It's basically he created the entire game. He had complete admin control, and so he wanted somebody to beat him as the hero, and so he gave somebody at random the dual wielding skill to beat him. It's not supposed to be clever. It's not supposed to be this amazing thing. It's just, it could have been suddenly everybody else is wielding swords. He could have been the archer.
Right. But at the same time,
something.
But at the same time, it's a case of that,
it doesn't feel like anyone could have done what he did. Like, anyone, if they'd done it properly, could be in Sunraku's place. But Kirito was MacGuffined into being the one special one.
One of my points is that, okay, so with Sunraku, he gets into situations where he ends up dying and has to spawn back in the last bed he slept in and run through the whole thing again, right? Again, brilliant narrative construction. Even fucking Minecraft does this shit, right? What happens if Kirito was just sniped from a million miles away, right?
He dies forever.
Right, he dies forever, and then okay, so is someone else going to become the dual wielder?
No.
Apparently, yes.
I mean, maybe.
Apparently, yes, because
the creator could do it.
It'll just go to whoever's the strongest at the time. That's not aligned with the creator of the game. You know, if it's one of those, the creator of the game is just more like, well, if he wasn't strong enough to survive, then of course he didn't deserve to be the dual wielder.
It's just fucking.
So the next person just gets it.
There are other reasons why Sword Art Online feels like it wasn't written by somebody who understands MMOs as well.
Yes, there are plenty of reasons why.
I think that's the biggest thing. Like, I would like to see stuff like even Shangri-La Frontier does not obey a lot of gamer logic side of things.
It does early on, closer to a degree.
Yeah, it's closer, sure, but it's still not there.
Yeah.
You know. And if you're going to sell your world as like, this is like a video game, please do it so much.
You should have. So I always come back to this. It's completely different. It's a bit of a tangent. Is the full dive a book that started the full dive thing, which was Ready Player One. The movie, it's one of those ones you can turn your brain off and just enjoy it. But it's not a super great movie. But then you discover that the hint, the trick to the first puzzle, instead of taking part in the race, is driving backwards away from the starting line. How many people, if you were to introduce a new driving game today, would have tried driving backwards off the starting line just to see what happened?
Oh, a lot of people. Hell of a lot of people. Right?
It's just such an obvious thing. If you're playing a game, is to test out if there's any bugs, if there's any glitches, any exploits.
It's not just that, but like how many people are going to accidentally hit the, I got to hold down the right trigger to accelerate, and they accidentally hold down the left one, and they go backwards, right?
Yes.
Like you would think that someone would accidentally discover this ahead of purposely discovering it.
Except it's I think the race you have to pay to enter or something like that, so it's not like it's because it's all real world currency. It's
but still, like, someone's half asleep when they do it, or they give it to their friend, like, oh yeah, play as my character, because like there's no permanent character death or anything. So yeah, it's
weird.
Anyway,
and that's it's the kind of thing where there's something that's so clearly written by somebody that doesn't understand how humans play games.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and that's
it's silly.
That's and I don't know if there are stories out there that struggle to is it a case of if we write the narrative accurate to what players would go through, is that a case of
it becomes narratively
readers
boring.
Would the readers just shut off mentally, or is it just a simple case of like, oh, no one's thought to try?
A concept I haven't seen in anime that involves full dive VR. You were talking about it, and it made me think about it, so I had to go look up the book just to make sure I was thinking about it right. It's a young adult novel called The Game, and I don't remember all of the details. Yes, exactly. I read this years ago when I was still a kid, and essentially, it's set in the far-flung future of 2154, and there's job scarcity, but the social systems that help people who can't find jobs are under heavy strain and collapsing, and so a group of kids is recruited. I don't remember exactly what they tell them about the VR world, but they start playing in it, and then one day they're actually like put to sleep while they're playing it and sent to another world that is exactly like the VR world they were training in, like a different planet, right? So now they have to survive there, and that's how Earth is solving its overpopulation problem, is by doing this. And I think that'd be interesting for anime, is these people that are tricked into thinking they're playing a game, and then they're sent to an actual world where they have to try and colonize it and survive.
Yeah, potentially.
That would be... Depends on the technology they have, because if they've got some kind of world-building technology like a...
It's not world-building. They knew of the world already and built the game off of that.
No. Some kind of world-building, like the same way that if you look at, say, Subnautica or similar, you've got the ability to have a little ray gun that pings basic tools into existence, or yes, to digitally build them, like a 3D printer, but nanotech or whatever. So
I think
just make it seem game-like.
I think a game that it would be really good inspiration for video game adaptation would actually be something like EVE Online, where the entirety of the world is community driven. It's not driven by individuals or anything like this. Again, like what happens when you come across a whale, right? What happens when you come across someone that has a multi-box, right? These are concepts that are very familiar to gamers, but not familiar to non-gamers. And it's just be a case of, oh, why would people do this thing? And it's because they're showing off, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing how many video games actually... I want to pivot to hacking shortly, but it's amazing how many video games actually... die, like mobile games particularly die, because the whale community gave up on the game. And why did the whale community give up on the game? Because the regular players that they could actually flaunt their stuff over stopped playing the game.
Yeah.
Right? It would be brilliant if
nothing
Shangri-La...
for the lower tier players.
Yeah, it would be absolutely amazing if Shangri-La Frontier actually addressed that. Like, Sunraku goes and plays a game that's due to be shut down in a month's time, right? Because it's awful. No one's playing it anymore. But yeah, it's interesting. It is really, really interesting. But I do want to pivot to hackers. It's kind of a short, brief one, but I do feel that I think Lazarus is a brilliant example of this.
Of somebody who doesn't understand hacking?
Oh, God, no one depicts hacking accurately.
Okay,
right?
Would you say that this is better or worse than Ed's hacking in Cowboy Bebop? Got you here.
No, it's the same. It's just as bad.
It's the same. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Good. As long as we're consistent.
It's
I agree. Ed's hacking is not great.
So one of the I hate this so much, right? So there was a movie with Hugh Jackman and John Travolta in it called Swordfish.
Oh yes, right? Swordfish. Oh, sorry.
There is supposed to be a scene where, so basically Hugh Jackman's character is an ex-con who is basically banned from ever being, like, he can't be within like 50 feet of electronic devices. Like, he can't use computers. He's on like some government watch list. He's not allowed, right? And he is being used, I think, by the CIA in order to infiltrate John Travolta's organization, right? They think it's like a terrorist organization or something like this, and they're trying to work it out. And they have him. So he's trying to infiltrate, and John Travolta is having him try and hack some mainframe, right? And Hugh Jackman's character is, I want to say, under duress doing this, and he has 30 seconds to hack into this mainframe, and it's just like, what the hell? This is completely unrealistic. Right? And that's just the simple case of, like, any hack job out there. It is like any hacking anime, any hacking TV show. It is so fucking unrealistic, right? Because the vast majority of it's done with. So much of it is done with bots, right? So much of it is like, crawlers, what's called scrapers. Like they look for exploits. How can they test things, and like none of this is depicted. Like, oh no, they're in the building, and it's just fucking so stupid. So stupid.
You gotta hack the planet, baby.
Yeah, hacking is never depicted properly, and I just do not understand why it is ever depicted as this amazing
because it's more dramatic
thing.
That way, right? They're writing dramatic action stories or mysteries or whatever, And, you know, you can't have just boring old procedural hacking. You gotta have really cool hack. You gotta have, you know,
No, but you could start from a point where they're already in the system and they have to get them out, right? Or they have to trace them and things like this. Not, oh my god, they've just broken into the system. Just breaking in is the slowest process, right?
Yeah.
Known to man. Like, typically, like, a lot of it comes down to social profile.
Social engineering. Yeah.
That's the one, social engineering, thank you. Social engineering the situation. And just getting someone that works on site to click on a link, right? And then bam, you're in. Right?
If you're actually interested in this topic, go look up DEF CON videos on YouTube, because they, you know, especially a lot of the older ones, really go in depth on, like, you know, white hat hacking, pen testing, all this stuff, and social engineering too. Really good, really
pen
interesting.
testing, for everyone's benefit, is penetration testing.
Yes,
so
and it can be both physical or digital.
Yeah, it's how to find exploits into getting into, like, servers and things.
Or buildings.
But yeah, it's...
He said penetration.
Still a child. There, so I wanted to bring that. I don't know if anyone has any other...
Well, we could talk about
discussion.
the Tokusatsu stuff that we were talking about before the show. What do you think, Thaylien? Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I was going to go into a couple of ones where they did actually... where the author actually does know a little bit about it.
You go ahead.
For example, Girls and Panzer.
Okay.
Because, you know, regardless of the fact that it is a whimsical look into a silly concept of the world living on aircraft carriers and people holding competitions in micro tanks that are non-lethal, whoever
they do
wrote
clearly
it
understand
has
the
a very
tanks.
good insight into tanks. So this is the kind of show that really stands out, because they've
just the tanks,
put the time
but
in.
tactics to use those tanks with.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they've gone through and looked historically at war tactics for tanks, and they've adapted them for how they would fit into these small, like, arena almost areas where they've got the gardens or the hedge mazes, and how these would work. I mean, yes, there are some silly comedy moments with the tanks, like, running to the other tank's barrel and then getting blasted back when there's a dramatic moment. That kind of thing, yeah, you see where that's silly, where that's done for laughs. But the way the tanks run, the reliability of the tanks. If you look at video games, one of the, like, World of Tanks had one of these documentary interviews, and they said, you know, so how they got a tank expert in, and they had him examine how these tanks ran and how they did everything, and he said, pretty much as far as armor, shooting mechanics, mobility, everything, World of Tanks was really accurate. What it didn't get was how unreliable many of these tanks were. So, you know, you'd have a force of 10, and you'd have 7 working ones and 3 for parts.
Yeah.
And they would break down in the field and have, you know, limited access and have to have mechanics come out for them, because tanks before the modern era were very unreliable. And so many of the things in the show, sometimes they will just break down. You know, the tank will fail from too hard of an impact into something because the engine wasn't sound in that model. And that's actually a thing that does happen. And how they... many of the tactics are played for laughs because they are small girls in these tanks. But even the attitudes of the different countries playing these war games is very, very well portrayed, and how they use their tanks tactically. Each one is very different. Each one has their own personality. based on the historical context of where these tanks came from. It's genuinely a great look into what.
It's such a weird show.
Almost,
it's strangely captivating, though.
It definitely is. How should I put this? It's somebody who has learned enough about a topic over time and has kept researching it to see how he can put it into his story and have it be. You don't have to suspend your disbelief too far.
Yeah.
Right? You suspend your disbelief because it's for comedy, so it's not a lethal tank. You
piloted by little girls.
Help with that by making the drivers and the crews little girls to show that it's definitely not going to kill anybody.
Who do a shrimp dance at one point.
And you set it in this fantasy world, this future fantasy world, where countries are forced to go about on aircraft carriers, gigantic country-sized aircraft carriers on the ocean instead of where they used to. And once your brain is able to accept those basic starts, that's as far as it needs to go. Everything else can be realistic. And it helps to have more than just a grain of truth in your fantasy. I think that's why it is captivating, because it takes that realism in one part very, very seriously, and then makes the rest funny around it.
It's this strange blend of like slice of life and school and a tournament show and just genuinely good tank combat. And it's like, how do you fuse all those together and come out with something really fun? But they do it.
I think
exactly.
I think it's just down to, like, as I was saying with Hideki Anno, like, if you put enough time, effort, and passion into the concept of your show, then I think that you're gonna go miles.
It'll come through to the audience. That passion will come through and be infectious.
It's like I feel that tournaments, not like in Girls in Panzer, but I'm talking about
actual tournament arcs.
Yeah, like in Battle After 5 Seconds of Meeting, Naruto, My Hero Academia, like, a lot of the time, it feels like, even Keijo has this, it feels like the tournaments are constructed to drag out the story, to bide time for the author so that they can think of, hey, what should I actually write about, right? And because, like, I ask the question, does anyone truly enjoy a tournament arc, right? Once you've seen one tournament arc, you've seen the whole bloody thing across, no matter what shows you watch. Because, like, you look at the structure of the who's fighting who, and it's just like, right, you can plot out the entirety, and you know that the most interesting fights are going to be the penultimate and ultimate fights. The rest of the fights do not matter.
I think it really depends on if it's just used to display the character's power, or if it's used for actual character development at the same time. Because I would argue that the one at the end of Windbreaker, the first season of Windbreaker, was actually, even though you're correct, the most interesting fight was at the end. Although I think the other one was not at the end. The other really interesting one was not at the end. But even then, each one had its moments of character of development for the characters beyond just, I punch good, I kick good.
Right. But at the same time,
that does make you think of something.
You could have that character development anywhere else, right? It's like one of the biggest issues that I have with the My Hero Academia season 2 is the fact that, the fight between oh god, Todoroki.
Yes, the Fire and Ice one.
Yeah, what the fuck is the main kid's name? Itadori? No, that's
the other guy.
In this case, they were trying to achieve the same thing as the boxing match in Bang Bravern, where they're like, you can have a conversation through combat rather than with words.
Right. But that's one episode in Bang Bravern, as opposed to an
that's
entire
like 3
fucking
episodes
season.
Fair. And it was only like 3 episodes in Windbreaker as well. So again, very short tournament.
Yeah. Like I'd much rather
think of it when it's been used as a comedy thing, where you are literally only following the main character or whoever they're actually supposed to be, the 3 main characters or whatever of thing, and you know what the result's going to be. The comedy is coming from how they do it.
But that's not
One Punch Man.
Comedy gets a pass because it's comedy.
What tournament arc are you talking about?
In One Punch Man, he was asked to learn about martial arts, and so he joined a martial arts tournament.
When he was wearing the wig,
and that was a whole arc of the show while things were going on outside.
No, it wasn't a whole arc of a show because they chopped out so much of it.
They did chop out a lot of it.
They chopped out like 75% of that entire tournament.
Yes,
which was just taking the piss out of the whole thing.
But how many episodes was it actually?
Like 2.5.
2. Yeah.
So again, Windbreaker only had 3.
2.5 out of a 12-episode series.
Windbreaker only had 3. So again, a short arc that's used for development is better than a long arc that is just used for nothing.
Yeah.
Because we know what happens at tournaments now. Tournaments are a given now. You're right.
Yeah.
Once you've seen one of the original ones, you've seen all the basic dramatic plot progression you can expect to get out of one.
Yeah.
So painfully slow. But yeah, so that's
how about one that Nasuth's watched, which is so it's a more slow series. It's Planet S or Planets.
Oh, fair.
Oh, we both watched that actually. And God, Planets is really good in terms of the science.
Yes,
because they talk about how like these little pieces, these little bits of debris are moving at such... So, in physics, it's not just the size of an object, it's how fast it's moving, because that's how much energy it can impart at the end of its journey. So, like, something that's the size of a grain of sand that is moving at near light speed will, just decimate stuff.
Yes.
And there's a lot of junk in space that is moving at orbital speed. And if it's geosynchronous, which one's...
If it's geosynchronous, it's going around at the same speed as the Earth's rotating.
Yeah.
Yes, and most of them are at the equator, and the equator rotates at... It varies depending on where you are because the Earth is a sphere, and so but it is at the equator, speeds. It's about 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. It's not technically how you measure rotational velocity; it's RPMs, but it's neither here nor there. So if something is in space traveling that speed, and it's like a nut or a bolt or whatever, it will. If it smashes into the International Space Station, it's fucked.
Yep. Yes, and the only reason that those kind of things aren't is if they're going in the same direction, as the space station. So if it was going the other way and achieved the same speed, then you've got two things going at equal and opposite speeds, and that is just going to blow straight through it at twice the energy.
Yeah, it's also very important for them to track this stuff for that exact reason.
Now, right now, there is a lot of debris up in our orbit that has just basically been left there by various different countries that have not had their satellites or whatever
deorbit. It's called deorbiting when they bring it back down to Earth to burn up in the atmosphere.
Yeah, so like, so many countries just leave it up there, and as a result, it's just making.
And there's a certain threshold. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a certain threshold where that amount of junk will prevent us from escaping the Earth. And so Planets kind of deals with that general idea, where there's so much junk in space now that they actually have crews up there that are trying to salvage it. And the speeds involved obviously make it difficult, because you have to match up your speed with the speed of the thing you're trying to get.
Yeah, it's worrying when you stop and think about it. But
this is all stuff that they've actually put care and consideration to deal with.
The author has clearly looked into these ideas and the physics involved, and it's such a good show.
They've heard about the orbital debris, and they just said, "What if?" And then written an entire story by going in and actually talking about the physics.
It's similar to people who used to salvage, or still kind of do salvage, the oceans, right? It's because they call it the ocean of space in a lot of cases, to be poetic. Not in this show, just in general. And so it's the same sort of idea where you're salvaging junk that could be dangerous to people. Or just profitable.
Like
could just be profitable for people.
Third ear. Okay, so let's. How about we talk about one that I watched, which was Bartender, Glass of God. Now, this was a show where it's a nice slow show. The simple concept of following a guy that could make really good cocktails, and he did it by observing his clients and trying to make a cocktail that actually suited them, and even the little tweaks that could be made to it. There's some man who knew tricks of bartending, but not surprisingly a lot of what people like Xeno or even myself would know as regular bartending. This is the bespoke, specific little hole-in-the-wall bar that people go to.
Classy. It's a classy bar rather than not a dive bar.
Yes, not a dive bar or a pub.
No, I was thinking like one where college students might go, that sort of thing.
Yes.
More of a club.
This isn't one you go to for your rum and coke. This is one you go to for an actual sit-down experience.
Yeah. Glass of whiskey with a bowl of ice.
You did a bit of bartending, didn't you?
Yeah, I used to be a bartender.
I pity all the barts that you ended.
But I feel like Xeno was in the type of bar where they do the show mixing, where they toss the bottles and stuff.
Yeah, flaring. Yes.
No, for clarity, I was a bartender at a hotel, and typically, the bar that I would tend was just standard, draft or bottled beers and things like that. So it wasn't anything fanciful. So, but I am familiar with the
flaring,
the bar. Yeah, but not just that, but also the crazy cocktails one can make and things like that. However, it is not something that I have experienced doing myself. So,
see, I specifically went and learned about cocktail making myself, and this is off an uncle of mine that it's just what he really likes to do for get-togethers. A recent trip out to see family in South Africa, we literally went over there, and my 100-year-old great aunt she appreciates a good whiskey, and so making her a proper whiskey old fashioned absolutely made her day for when we did that, because it's not too It gets all the taste, but adds in more depth to it. And that's the same feeling that you want to get from this show, is where somebody takes a simple drink and then tweaks it to your preference, tweaks it to make it better.
I have a question for you, right? Do you prescribe to the idea that a malt scotch, right? What did I say?
Prescribe.
Do you prescribe malt scotches to... No. Do you subscribe to the idea that a malt scotch has to be made from the waters of Scotland? Right? Because there is a brewery in Japan that ships water from Scotland to Japan to make to make a single malt scotch.
I feel like we should have that Incredibles meme here, and it says "Water is water."
That's the thing. It's not about the in the same way actually with the show. With the show, it's not about specifically the specific ingredients in that sense. It's about what you can tell with a story of them, what you can tell about the person buying it. So if the person buying it wants to buy scotch that's been made with the waters of Scotland, but actually brewed in Japan, that's that does tell an awful lot about that kind of person. And it also tells a lot about the brewers, how they think about it and how they want to be faithful to what they believe is scotch. And so it will, I believe that these things will make a slight difference in how the scotch tastes and how it reacts to other alcohols and liquids.
I agree with you, because there's a lot of people say that just get the same ingredients in the UK or in Germany, America, whatever, that they use in Italy, and it's just like, no, Italian tomatoes genuinely taste different to UK tomatoes. They genuinely taste different, right?
Okay,
same
but
with bell peppers, same with mushrooms.
If you took Italian tomatoes and planted them in the UK and grew tomatoes from that, would they taste different?
Apparently not.
Still taste different.
Because it's different soil, different fertilizer, different
sunlight
amounts
exposure.
of rainwater, different amount of sunlight. Yeah. That's the kind of thing that does.
It's really interesting, because this is the sort of care and attention that I would expect from a show like Bartender, that typically is overlooked across the world. Oh yeah, pizza's pizza. No. That's like saying sushi in the UK is as good as sushi in Japan. That's just bollocks, right?
Okay, but in theory, if you knew the composition,
wasabi is the same as wasabi.
If you knew the composition of the soil that those tomatoes are planted in, and you added those ingredients to your soil in the UK, then you could do it.
Adjust the sunlight, adjust the waters that you're watering it with, go and get actual fertilizer from Italy. You could probably recreate it, yes.
Yeah, you could recreate it, right? But at that point in time, with the amount of money that you would spend on doing that, you may as well open up a farm in Italy, right?
It'd probably be easier with the water, the water from Scotland, to recreate that than it would be to recreate tomatoes.
Yeah,
yes.
I think so.
Still,
but one show I want to throw under the bus really fucking badly.
Ooh, okay.
So after you were talking about this, one show that I fucking hate, and I never watched past season 1, was Dr. Stone, right? Because with Dr. Stone, they show off some of the really early technological advancements of how you construct X, Y, and Z, right? But then when it gets to some of the more sophisticated stuff, they just give up and don't bother anymore. And like, so one of the really important things that they highlight is like, you should not ever breathe in sulfur gas. You breathe in sulfur gas, you will die.
Have a bad
but they never elaborate as to why. They go into detail about how to make insulated copper wire, but they don't go into the detail of like how to make like the later stuff. And like they talk about making fucking not varifocal lenses. Like I think it's lenses for like short-sighted people. They go into huge amounts of detail on how to actually construct these glasses. They don't go into the detail of how to make a fucking light bulb, and it's just like, either do everything or do nothing. Don't.
That's because everyone knows how to make a light bulb.
Yeah, clearly, fucking clear. And it just screams to me that either people weren't interested in the more scientific discoveries, like the more complex scientific discoveries, or alternatively, they went for the simple science stuff to explain and didn't bother with the more complex. I think at one point in time in the show, they make a fucking flintlock gun, right?
They do. There's a whole thing about one of the characters not being able to shoot it, despite claiming he can.
Wow. And do they go over how to forge the metal and cast it and
nope,
all that
probably
stuff?
Not.
Okay.
Probably not. But that's
do
my
they go over
point,
how to make
though.
bullets? Do they, they go over how gunpowder
Probably
works
not.
at all?
Well, no, gunpowder, I think they do go over because they need to use gunpowder.
Yes.
Gunpowder's
for, I
relatively
think,
simple,
batteries
too.
and things. Yeah, exactly. Right? We've all played Minecraft. It's just to make TNT. It's just sand and gunpowder. It's fine. Just get it from the creepers. But that's my point, though. Right? So like, I feel that this show could have been effectively, and this is a fantastic comparison. The Delicious in Dungeon of science. Delicious in Dungeon, though it's super brief with the recipes that it does, people have recreated these recipes from the little instructions Senshi gives, right?
Yeah.
Like, they get like, because they have like an alternative for bell peppers, they take bell peppers. Because they have an alternative for carrots, they take carrots. They do all this sorts of stuff. And it's really clever. But like, Dr. Stone is just like, we done some science. We got bored.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So what do they do instead? Get into waifus?
No, they have tournament arcs.
Oh.
Speaking of waifus, I could do my dress up darling.
Go on then.
Because this is a show that's primarily billed as a feel-good romance in the sense that they're teaching characters to embrace their stuffed toys, as it were. You should never feel you need to hide your stuffed toys from your partner. And yucking other people's yum is just not funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
so this is an
finding
author
somebody
who
who's-
clearly understands cosplay and sewing and Hina dolls.
yes. So they have designed costumes before, or in some way, or they've gone into the process, and they've gone into the, or they maybe even they themselves got drawn into cosplay, and were just fascinated with how it worked. In general, they went in. The funny thing was when they actually went to one of the conventions with the cosplay. What surprised me was how normal the people with the cameras were. They weren't these comedic fanboys trying to come in and get upskirt shots of every person. No, they looked like normal, sensible people with expensive, digital cameras. But that was used as a thing of people that like these things really want an expensive digital camera so they can really get the best shots they can of these people creating their favorite characters in real life. And it's part of that culture, it's part of that experience. And so the people cosplaying are doing something they love. They're representing the characters they love and are very passionate about becoming popular through this, whether the popularity is secondary or whether that's the primary goal. The point is to try and make people believe that you are that character, or portraying that character accurately. So that extends to the costume design, where our boy goes in and he studies the characters themselves and how they look, how they move, and says things like, "Oh well, in the game this character has black hair, but if you look at the wig colors, going for one that's a little bit more purple will actually more like give you that CRT monitor kind of eye, or the computer monitor thing. So it will shift the way the character's viewed. So it's actually gives it more reality by having had slightly more blue in their hair to make it purple than just regular black, because regular black doesn't look realistic as a wig.
True black, yeah.
Yes, but also and also as a wig, somebody with black hair is either obviously wearing a wig or has the Hime hair, which isn't always possible. And so he does that. He makes sure that things like ruffles and layers. I always come back to somebody that I watched them on YouTube designing the dress from Ruby, Ruby Rose's actual original dress, and to make it move and look like the one that's on the show, they did things like stiff petticoats and layering up ruffles and things underneath the original, the outermost layer, to make it poof and things. And they say it's going to be hot to wear it, and it's going to be, something that's very difficult to keep going with through a hot day. But by layering up these effects in the cloth, the light will make it look like it's just one, bit of cloth, like it does in the show, like it's being lit by the... Oh crikey! So many people driving past today. It takes that aspect of, yes, this is a sacrifice for the person wearing it, but when you actually light it, put sunlight on it, it looks like the show. And that same thing, that same attitude is translated to Gojo, where he's taking these different changes to the outfit and making the sleeves a certain way, making the stitching a certain way. He's putting all the effort in to try and make a dress that looks like the game that the character's from, rather than just be a dress that's probably realistically is that dress.
I do agree a lot with what you're talking about, and it does feel like I don't believe that a lot of these mangaka or light novel authors have the knowledge beforehand on how this stuff works out. I think they have an idea of how they can address it, and then they rely on external resource to learn about it. I've had ideas in the past about how could vampirism work and things like this, or how could you increase muscle output versus
muscle mass.
Exactly, right? Redesigning the muscle structure and things like this. And I've had conversations with people in those fields that led me down paths that were like, okay, this is actually good information to have. So, because I don't want to base things on the impossible, to the point of I was working on a webcomic years and years and years ago. It died, But the idea was that there was a building that gets shot up, and the artist effectively refused to draw the page because they had played enough video games to know bullets can't go through walls, right? And in reality, assault rifle bullet will happily go through a brick wall.
It depends on the caliber of the bullet, the firing power, and
velocity.
And the thickness of the wall or the material it's made out of. But yes, very often they can just whoop right through a wall. Yeah. Especially drywall. Yeah. Drywall is nothing.
What's drywall? Is that just wood?
It's
gypsum.
Plasterboard.
Yeah, plasterboard. Gypsum.
Oh, right. Yeah. But yeah, but I mean, an M4 assault rifle will happily shoot. Like, you could go on YouTube and you can look up videos of this, and you can see people firing, and the bullet will just go through the wall.
Even metal, depending on how thick it is. Like if it's thin metal, if it's like sheet metal, that's pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
It depends entirely on the caliber of the metal and things like this.
Yeah.
And I remember I was having a conversation with people about depleted uranium rounds. And people were like, oh, these are like really dangerous, and the gases and shit like that the depleted uranium can. I was like, nah, that's not the dangerous part. The dangerous part is when
how heavy it is.
No, when a depleted uranium round hits a surface, it fractures and splinters. It gets sharper, right?
Yeah.
So it just shreds. Yeah, it just shreds armor plating and things like this. So, but they are so incredibly expensive to make, right?
Yeah.
So that's why they're not used in commonplace.
But like you do get those. They've made a way to. They used to call them cop killer rounds, but they're essentially bullets that are designed to fracture like that.
Yep. Those are. Shit, what's the... Oh, fuck, what are they called?
I could go look it up, probably.
I've just got Full Metal Jacket stuck in my head. It's not Full Metal Jacket, it's the Hollow Point rounds.
Yes, Hollow Points, that's it. Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Hollow Points were designed specifically so that they would split and spread out inside the body and have minimal through penetration of a body.
Yeah.
So they would hit something. That's why the massive switch to Kevlar has been done. Yeah. Because Kevlar will actually, because of the way Kevlar's woven, the impact tangles up the threads. Yeah. And so it actually, whatever goes into it, gets wound tighter and tighter as it goes through. And so Kevlar has a better stopping power than just an armor plate.
So I think one of the biggest elements to when it comes to like narratively speaking about anime and manga, like, you don't have to write about what you know, but you should do your double checking. You should do your due diligence and see, like, does this work? Does this make sense? Because I'll point out one of the best narratives that has no real grounding in reality. If I can quickly find it in this giant... The M directory is just far too fat. The damn you, Mobile Suit Gundam, is Mushoku Tensei, right? There's next to no real grounding in this,
and yet,
but
the way they discuss the magic and the world and magic circles, even in the second season.
Yeah, they've put so much time, effort, and care into building this world that it is fully believable. But then we have other isekais, like, again, Cheat Skill in Another World, which is just and now I have all the abilities, because... And it is bad. Right?
It's kind of the old Brandon Sanderson ethos of building worlds like this.
Yes.
Where you need to have very clear definitions of your magic system and drawbacks and limitations and all that stuff. You can't just be super loosey-goosey with it and expect it to come out good unless you put a lot of effort in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the difference, I think the two approaches, because we take Sanderson as a great author of like modern hard fantasy stuff, where it's the magic systems they have rules that are clearly spelled out. They, X plus Y equals Z each time, and it's all about the skill with how you use it, rather than the specific. Oh, this always trumps that.
Yeah.
And they have actual drawbacks for overusing the powers as well.
Yep.
But you compare that to something like Tolkien's style of writing, where he created a world and he never explained shit about his magic system. Not in the actual books, in The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings.
But
he does go into it a bit in the supplementary materials
for most of it. Right?
Yes.
Most of it was normal people doing normal things.
Yes, exactly. The story of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings is that even in a fantasy world where magic is incredibly powerful and kings and armies move, the real triumph is that of ordinary men and women doing ordinary things to hold back the darkness.
Yeah.
Right?
The Bulgarian
is a world where the magic... Yeah, Bulgarian's got a little bit of...
Because there's so many times that they just can't use their magic for very good reasons. And so they're reduced to doing things the normal.
Yes.
But the magic is super powerful when they can use it.
Yes. I love in the Belgariad, there's the siege of the Thullish town, where to make the army at a disadvantage, the enemy starts cooling the air down and drawing water out of the ground to make fog.
Oh God, yes. And it's so difficult to get to dispel it because you're having to pull
they wanted to bring in a breeze. Yes, and so literally one of the sorcerers turns. So he said, "What's the?
Do you know how hard it is to move
air.
tons and tons of air?
Yes,
it's really heavy.
Do you know how much all that? Do you know how much all that air weighs?" He said,
"Yeah,
but it's air. It doesn't weigh anything." And he said, "I'm dealing with idiots," and then goes off and has to put all the effort into to set up a way. Yes,
that would make a really good
also
anime.
The fact that you can't directly undo what another person has done in that world. So if you seal somebody up in rock alive for all eternity, somebody can't just go in and unseal him. Okay? Because you can't replicate the thought that created that bit of will.
Yeah,
you'd have to do something else that gets him out.
Yet in a show to completely disregard its own rules, wisdoms, well, I don't know what wisdoms, and becomes nonsensical gibberish, we have the Kingdoms of Ruin.
Oh,
which,
God.
It is a fucking brilliant testament to bad narrative
a good idea
writing.
Gone badly.
Yeah, it's like, it's why can only one person use written magic? Why can't the witches use written magic? Why do people that die get better? Why are people dying with the anti-magic stuff? It's nonsensical gibberish.
Yep.
And you can have the best intentions, but if you don't fucking think it through,
they just wanted an edgy McEdgy show that's always constantly subverting your expectations.
Yeah, and like this is the biggest thing. Like if you're writing something or drawing something, if you're creating something,
it should at least have some grounding.
No, the best piece of advice is get someone else to look over it. Get multiple people to look over it and just go, wait, this doesn't make sense. This is contradictory, right?
Yeah.
how on earth were they able to disable all magic if it kills all people when you try to do it? That doesn't fucking make sense. How have they succeeded in their attacks?
How have they never noticed the city on the moon?
Oh my fuck. Anyway. Right. Should we,
That's probably a good spot to wrap up. I was going to make you talk about Blue Period, but I don't think we have time.
Yeah. Honorable mentions to Blue Period for its painting knowledge. Cells at Work for
Bocce the Rock.
Yes, Bocce the Rock. Who else did we think of that wrote what they knew really well? I'm really hoping the creator of Oshinoko wasn't writing what they know.
Well, no, I'm going to argue. I don't think it's a case of write what you know, research.
Yes,
what
you write.
your
Exactly.
subject matter is. Research what you write.
VTuber Legend.
That was actually surprisingly detailed.
But that does technically mean you're writing what you know, because you've now done research, and so you know something about it.
Exactly.
There's a difference between writing what you know
and writing what you've experienced.
Well, I mean, writing enough to make it look like you know what you're talking about. You know, because
I am a master of knowing just enough to know, to make people think I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like, I mean, I would genuinely love it if some of these people that write stuff about video games actually played fucking video games.
Yeah, you know why none of the authors who play video games are writing those? They're too busy playing video games.
No, just be like Elon Musk and hire somebody else to level your character for you.
Actually, one that I think is actually a fun show is All You Need Is a Sister. It is cringe in places, but it kind of sheds a lot of light on what it is to be an author. You know, so I quite like that one. I do laugh at that show quite a lot. Trying to convince people to watch it is. Anyway. Right, shall we move on, unless either of you have anything else you can say, to
I think I'm good.
Questions. Right, so...
I think you're great. I think you're great, Nasuth. Xeno's okay, you're great.
So, self-promoting Thaylien bot asks, it's the supporter questions, of course. Of course, we're going to ask you to like, comment, and subscribe. We're also going to make Xeno read out things that he wasn't expecting to. Join us on Discord and become a supporter so that you, too, can make Xeno read out your questions. We should probably move those to the Kanpai Cast Discord.
Yeah.
No. The only problem is that Patreon's tied to my Discord. Anyway, it's the supporter questions. Self-promoting Thaylien bot also asks, it's the supporter questions. Of course, we're going to ask the cast who is their favorite villain and why they would join the evil side because of them.
Who's my favorite villain? Cell, and because he can win rap battles.
I was expecting you to say Cell because he's perfect.
No, he's not quite perfect. He can't resist Tien.
Oh, did you see there was a game that made reference to that as well?
Yep.
I'm so pleased. That was such a perfect callback to it. Kiko, how you doing?
I think that might be one of my memes. I don't know. I don't remember. I guess we'll find out soon.
Oh, yes. We're going to
say Dio.
Oh, right. Dio! Shit, why did I think of Dio?
Don't know. Ryan Couscous plus coffee equals not null. It's the supporter questions. Of course, we're going to ask Xeno if Xeno is or is not horrified or interrupted by his co-stars, and if they can correctly count the number of times. And if they can correctly count the number of times and then ask some weird esoteric question about a bygone anime that has no relevance to the topic at hand, like Sailor Moon outfit changed technology when?
Tomorrow. Next Tuesday.
Well, I think we managed to interrupt Xeno 14 times this episode.
I did it quite a bit, honestly.
I was counting you. As for the Sailor Moon outfit change technology, there are quick change technologies, but none that make you glow from within like a solar constellation. So
I'm
I think that's...
I'm going to say they interrupted me sub 10 times.
I know there was a Zrugal comment. Why did it not make it into this?
No, actually, on Kanpai News, I just checked.
No, there was.
No, supporter question.
No, not the supporter question. Oh, yeah, supporter question. No, I'm talking about the news.
Was there one for the supporter questions?
There is one for the news. No, but there isn't one for the supporter questions.
Okay, so moving on to the comments from the show. First of all, from the news, Strong Michelle says, news! Weird, I don't see Zrugal's comment.
However, I could see Zrugal's comment, so I'll read it out since it's in the doc here. He says, news!
I can read it from there.
Oh, okay, Xeno can read it from here then. Fine! I didn't want to read it anyway!
What kind of single-digit IQ buffoon threatens a voice actor, honestly?
Yeah, that's true.
Wait, what?
It was the voice actor that got threatened and had to go on hiatus.
Right.
Why am I doing that?
That Lupin movie looks really good. Good though, nice. Those are really cool umbrellas. I'm not even a Gundam fan, except for the
energy barrier one.
Yeah, that was stupid. Wow, cool. I don't think I knew that there was a Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass manga. I'm going to have to look that up. Poor you. I'm personally excited for Kanpai Cooking in Another World. I may have to watch Season 1 again for the 100th time. Damn straight. Thanks for the news, guys. Right. Moving on to the comments from the cast. Riku7 says, this comment is just 7 words long. This comment is just 14 words long. Okay, cool story.
Thanks for Zrugal
says, Kanpai, in reference to Xeno and Nasuth streaming, can confirm Xeno has streamed Void Train when this was live. Yep, very true. I wasn't even taking note on...
I wasn't really taking notes.
Okay,
I think it means notes,
this
but
one...
not note.
Yeah, but it was a fun discussion. Alternate episode title would be our picks of shows that need a spin-off. What was last week we were talking about?
It was the side characters.
Oh, okay. That was a cool story of Japan. Thank you, Xeno.
I don't remember which one he was telling either.
Cool. Memes were great. I had fun. Thanks, guys. And Strongest Shell says, I'm pretty sure Scar from FMA is an anti-hero. I don't know. Thanks. Wait, did I say he was an anti-hero? I can't remember. Thanks for the weekend entertainment, guys. Memes were good this week, too. Speaking of memes!
Thank you all.
Oh, shoot, I haven't set up for that yet.
What's wrong with me? Speaking of memes, Nasuth has to set up for it.
Nasuth distracted.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to have to entertain you briefly while Nasuth sets up for that.
Nope, I'm ready. Speaking of memes... we take up 6 viewer memes a week. You can drop into the Discord and leave them in the specific channel that we don't see ahead of time. And somebody's kind enough to drop them in the so we can watch them as we go. So, words. Let's just go ahead and do it. We've got 6 viewer memes this week.
Wow. That's incredible.
Less a meme and more just a really cool cosplay.
Isn't she the voice actress?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Oh my god.
Goku and Rapunzel from the TV show.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god, no, look at the fucking comedian.
No. Wait, go back.
What's his name? Pascal.
Oh, on her shoulder.
Fly off.
It's gone.
Lol.
I'll build my own wall brick by brick. I'll be alone, but safe. Except Gundam Wing will shoot you.
Oh, except Endless Waltz Wing Gundam.
Yeah.
Oh, because this is the Fortnite thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was Overwatch. Fortnite? Is there a Fortnite?
Oh, it might be
Gundam one?
Overwatch. It might be Overwatch. I don't know.
And this is, well, Endless Waltz is where he blasted through the multi-layered defense base thing.
Cool.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
I had a dream. Iraqi released JJBA themed condoms called John Doms, and they didn't protect you at all since JoJo fans don't have sex anyways. Oh my god! What the fuck?
Zeno, can you confirm?
I lied. I don't have Netflix. Take off your shoes. We're going to watch 2000s anime on CRT TV. Hell yeah.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And the last viewer meme.
The more complex a power system can get, the funnier it is when someone pulls out a gun.
Not wrong.
Speak from Fate.
Fate Zero.
Oh. All right,
Not
one of my
wrong.
memes. The 100 friends who really, 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 really love you.
Oh my god.
Me once again explaining how catgirls would make society 10 times better. My family listening and wondering where they went wrong.
It wasn't me this time.
I killed a dog. It wasn't John Wick's. It was Mudge and Booze.
Oh god.
All right, and my next 3 are video memes, so buckle in.
Music from Naruto.
What's the difference between toilet paper and a curtain? I don't know. So it was you! How many times do I have to tell you?
Oh power.
Okay, that's enough of that.
Nice.
I feel like I might have had this one before, but
No. We've had it where it's just Fern and Buran.
fair enough.
I can help you find your father, Tim. You never offered to find my father, Pikachu.
The look on Pikachu's face there.
Oof.
Oh my
It's just
god.
an iconic moment.
Nice.
That's actually the voice actress, for anyone who doesn't know.
Yes, it's
of Goku.
Goku's voice actor.
Goku and Gohan.
Yes.
Because they have the same character voice, yeah.
I have a dog.
No.
I have a daughter.
Dog daughter.
Word.
Oof.
How old are you? 10. And how long have you been 10? A while.
Oh.
Still a better love story than Twilight.
Not wrong.
Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer 2.
Oh, God,
Kids
yes.
had their fun already. My Dress Up Darling, OP, Season 2 is starting July 2025. Now it's real men's turn.
Yep.
Yep, I saw this one.
Yep.
And finally, Revenge.
Brilliant.
I don't
Ditching the Mio Beam for the Mio Grenade.
get this one. Okay.
I'll explain it to you when you're older. Workout, they said. It's great for your mental health, they said.
Aww. Aww.
I am not looking very respectfully, though.
Please and thank you. It's great that it costs nothing to use the millions of electricity costs. Sorry, millions in electricity
Yeah.
costs. ChatGPT.
Apparently it does give you better results sometimes, but like I don't think it gives it to you enough times to make it worth it.
No, I could explain. It's the tokenization and
Yeah,
shit
exactly.
like this, but
yeah.
anyway.
Water? No, definitely not water.
No.
Definitely not.
You've seen the character. You know this character, right?
Yeah, this is the character from
From Botch of the Rock.
yeah. in Super Mario Sunshine, but clearly she's not using water.
No.
Oh.
No, she's clearly not.
Was that your number 3? That was your number 3. So Xeno's next 3 are also video memes. Oh.
The next one I made myself.
Oh.
Is it looping?
Wait, did you take the one I made? For Notice Me Senpai? No, not with the Scooby-Doo stuff. But I made a motion graphic of just the
No.
this. Okay, all right,
No.
cool.
I made this all from scratch.
Wow, congrats. It's very good.
It's not as hard as you think it is.
Yeah.
Oh, that was loud.
Okay.
Oh, that's just cute. I'm gonna miss.
It's more adorable than anything else, Nasuth, because that's Gorgura, who's just recently retired.
Okie doke.
She's graduated.
You people and your weird VTuber obsessions.
Says the VTuber.
Did you just swear at him?
What?
Did you just flip him the bird, Nasuth?
No, it's my index finger.
It's
just dodgy hand tracking.
Anyway.
I was trying to point at myself. Oh, actually, it is doing my middle fingers, I think. I was trying to point at myself, though. And I think it's just confused. There we go. I had to put my thumb up and it knows now. Kind of.
Right. Anyway. But yes, so that's it for this week. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching and or listening. And now it is time to bottoms up and Kanpai!
Kanpai!